Accused of staging outing where he signed autographs amid Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni legal.
Pathetic. Oh.
So Ryan Reynolds obviously has to be deported back to. The moral crimes committed here by Ryan Reynolds against Justin Baldoni have amounted to high treason.
For over 30 years, Ryan Reynolds has masterfully cultivated the image of Hollywood's ultimate nice guy, from his early days as a teenage soap opera heartthrob to becoming the charming, quick-witted star of global blockbusters like Deadpool. Throughout it all, Reynolds has thrived on his carefully maintained, seemingly flawless public persona.
And that to me is the goosebump moment. That's the thing that I feel most proud of in this.
He's the guy everyone wants to be friends with, funny, charming, relatable, and endlessly generous. This is the man who casually donated a cool $1 million to Ukrainian refugees and whose heartwarming venture with Wrexham Football Club had fans around the world swooning, dubbing him the real-life Ted Lasso. Ryan Reynolds wasn't just acting like the nice guy, he had become Hollywood's living, breathing embodiment of one.
I just can't imagine what it feels like to be told that you got to leave your home, let alone with 15 minutes notice. You know, we were just feeling a tremendous amount of empathy for the displaced families in Ukraine. So.
But now, after decades of carefully curating his squeaky clean image, Ryan Reynolds' golden reputation is unraveling, and in spectacular fashion. The cause? His wife, Blake Lively, whose explosive feud with Justin Baldoni has pulled Reynolds straight into the center of one of Hollywood's ugliest legal battles. Yes, Blake Lively, the former Gossip Girl queen of on-screen drama, has managed to bring the chaos off-screen, with her husband caught in the crossfire.
It was Ryan Reynolds, this was their strategy, and now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle, but guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle.
And just like that, Reynolds is no longer the lovable, funny guy, he's now being painted as a co-conspirator in a ruthless scheme to sabotage Baldoni's career, hijack his film, and tarnish his name across every tabloid headline. Sounds unbelievable, right? That was our reaction too when whispers of Ryan's involvement first surfaced. But here's the thing, the deeper we looked, the clearer it became. This story goes far beyond what anyone expected.
Lately, everyone is bashing Blake Lively, but apparently the true villain in this saga is...
In just a few months, Reynolds has gone from beloved actor to alleged puppet master. According to Baldoni, he didn't just stand by as Blake ousted him from his own film, he actively helped orchestrate it. Worse, he's accused of masterminding a full-blown media takedown aimed at cancelling Baldoni entirely. The claims even include secret meetings inside Reynolds' swanky Manhattan mansion, where he allegedly made veiled threats, all delivered with that signature cheeky grin.
Everything started when Ryan Reynolds decided to stroll onto the movie set one day and review the dailies.
Now that the scandal has blown wide open and spiraled out of control, Hollywood's golden couple is scrambling for damage control. In a desperate attempt to salvage his sinking image, Reynolds was just caught red-handed staging a paparazzi moment. Yep, you heard that right, his team reportedly arranged sketchy autograph sessions with professional autograph hounds disguised as adoring fans. Wild, right? But the craziest part? How painfully obvious the whole setup was. Watching the clip feels like sitting through the cringiest scene in a bad rom-com, faking fan interactions just to cling to the Mr. Nice Guy narrative. That was the tipping point. And here's the kicker, nobody's buying the act anymore.
This is the guy who made all these posters. He realized that he made the posters for the allegedly fake paparazzi shoot with Ryan.
Today, we're diving headfirst into this jaw-dropping scandal, laying out every gritty detail, from the staged paparazzi stunts to Ryan's frantic reputation rehab, and Blake's reckless ambition that might just take them both down for good. Buckle up, because Hollywood's nicest guy is on the verge of a full-blown public meltdown. And trust us, you won't believe how fast and how hard he's falling.
Text messages, reading through the dailies, reading through the script, and he just decided, okay, you know what? This entire production needs to be halted. I don't trust my wife, okay? And my strongest inclination for that was the fact that on the day that the SAG-AFTRA strike ended, on the day that both of them had to go back to work, meaning Ryan had to go back to film for Wolverine and Deadpool, Wayfarer gets that shocking email of demands. And basically their production gets suspended while Ryan gets to go in the UK and feel confident knowing that she's not going to see Justin Baldoni until he's back. That was just my speculation. Well, in the recent filing, we can now see that Ryan was panicked in general about him being apart from Blake Lively, so much so that when they first communicated with one another, okay, so this is the first time that Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni are speaking to one another, and they're exchanging text messages, and Justin Baldoni does this thing where he's just like so nice and was like, he literally, to sum it up, because I'm not going to read Justin's entire text, he basically is like, I was nervous to even text you, I'm such a fan of you, like you're so...
You know what's really wild about Ryan Reynolds and his rapid downward spiral? Just months ago, he was being honored with Canada's highest civilian award, the Officer of the Order of Canada, praised not just for his on-screen charm but for his tireless charitable efforts. And honestly, credit where it's due, he and his team built a masterclass in image management. The world bought it, hook, line, and sinker. Ryan Reynolds was the guy your mom wanted you to marry, your friends wanted to grab a beer with, and your dad actually respected.
And it then says this like really almost first day of middle school kind of thing where he's like, all of this to say, I know I sound ridiculous, but like, I just really want to be friends with you. Like he literally tells Ryan he wants to be friends with you. And I can just see Ryan sitting there like, yes, this is exactly what I want.
Now, Reynolds finds himself smack in the middle of one of Hollywood's nastiest feuds, and the wildest part. It wasn't even his fight to begin with. At least, not at first. Sure, it makes sense that he'd back Blake Lively, she's his wife, after all. But the way this legal war with Justin Baldoni spiraled into something straight out of a Netflix thriller? You can't help but wonder if Ryan had more to do with it than he's letting on. If there's one thing Reynolds loves, it's putting on a spectacle. Even the ever-outspoken Candace Owens chimed in, claiming he never really took to Justin. The truth is, he just didn't like the guy.
Ryan Reynolds is throwing down some alpha male, and by alpha male, I mean extremely beta male, I have rich and powerful friends at the top.
It all came to a head in December when Blake Lively filed a jaw-dropping lawsuit accusing Justin Baldoni of sexual harassment, retaliation, and leading a smear campaign against her. We're talking over 150 pages of explosive allegations, a legal bombshell that instantly dominated headlines. But Baldoni wasn't about to go down quietly. Shocked at first, he hit back hard, and when he did, he aimed straight at Hollywood's golden couple. In a staggering $400 million countersuit, Baldoni made a devastating claim. Ryan Reynolds wasn't just the loyal husband standing by Blake's side, he was an active co-conspirator, allegedly helping hijack the film project from him. But here's the kicker, Baldoni had actually admired Reynolds. He respected his accomplishments, his clout, and his influence in the industry. In fact, during their very first conversation, Ryan asked if the production schedule could be adjusted to fit his calendar, and Baldoni, eager to collaborate, immediately agreed.
He then moves immediately to ask Justin Baldoni to change their production dates because he's never been apart from Blake Lively so long.
He didn't have to agree to change the production date, right? After all, his business was with Blake, not Ryan. But he did it anyway. Why? Because Baldoni was trying to play it cool, trying to be nice to his idol, the guy he admired in Hollywood.
I would have your line producer's face tattooed to my perineum if he, she, or they can figure out how to start 2 weeks earlier.
You're probably wondering how they went from having a chill bro-to-bro conversation like that to Baldoni accusing Reynolds of masterminding a well-funded, ruthless campaign to destroy his career and reputation. Well, when it comes to Hollywood, 6 months is more than enough time for one world to fall apart and another to rise. According to Baldoni, Reynolds used his considerable influence behind the scenes, bullying and threatening anyone who stood in his way. It's becoming clear, Mr. Nice Guy? Not so nice anymore. In fact, he may never have been. How else do you explain the eerie similarity between those A Nice Guy poolside scenes and the real-life drama with Baldoni? It almost feels like Reynolds was throwing shade at both his wife and her director, all under the polished disguise of charm.
And I guess you've already met Mary Poppins, aka Dogpool. Careful where you put your hand, she's 90% G-spot and she'll let you know it. You let this little flirt out of your sight for 1 second and she starts shopping for a new papa. If you can't be a responsible pet owner, then maybe you don't deserve this little unicorn. Guilty on all charges, Your Honor.
When the true meaning behind that bizarre scene finally came to light, jaws collectively hit the floor across Hollywood. This wasn't just scandalous, it was unthinkable. Could Ryan Reynolds, the wholesome Canadian darling, really be capable of something so calculated, manipulative, and downright sinister? The idea that he had orchestrated an entire scene in his own franchise movie to mock Baldoni seemed absurd. But the more you watch that scene, the harder it becomes to dismiss. It's too detailed, too precise to be a coincidence.
Nothing in this scene is funny. Nothing in this scene makes sense. Why is he alleging that his wife is trying to place him in a skit which is promoting domestic?
This revelation shattered the carefully constructed illusion Reynolds had spent years building. Fans quickly started piecing together a troubling picture. Reynolds wasn't just supporting his wife, he was actively involved in trying to destroy another man's career. But here's the kicker, Reynolds didn't stop with that scene in Deadpool. After they had successfully hijacked the movie from Baldoni, he went on to promote it with a series of skits, and this time, he wasn't holding back. His digs at Baldoni were anything but subtle. Even Candace Owens couldn't believe her eyes.
Well, it's not every day the mother-in-law of the leading lady gets to interview the love interest, and the man trying to replace my sweet little gummy bear, Ryan. Let's dive in.
You're probably wondering how these skits tie into the theme of the film they were promoting, and trust me, you're not alone. It's pretty wild that, of all people, it was Reynolds himself doing promo skits for a movie his wife was hired to co-star in. Most of us probably didn't realize it at the time, but by then, they had already staged the coup.
Call me Blake.
Oh,
I could blow your mind, dog.
Oh, man.
It's not every day a guy gets to interview the love interest of his best friend's wife, and the guy trying to replace Ryan as a husband, and me as his best mate.
Holy
So listen, I've just got one question. What the hell are you doing messing with my best buddy's wife?
Sir, I have no idea what's happening.
The innuendo in this skit is impossible to miss. Honestly, the contrast between Reynolds' charming public persona and the ruthless tactics he was employing behind the scenes couldn't be more glaring. This wasn't the Ryan everyone thought they knew. Nothing about his messy, ugly involvement in this scandal screams superhero. Even though the court case is framed as Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni, in reality, it's more like Ryan Reynolds versus Justin Baldoni.
That the fact that he doesn't want to be apart from her, and now he's inserted himself into every layer of this movie, something's
Cameras flashing, reporters buzzing, Blake Lively glowing, and then, out of nowhere, she dropped the bombshell nobody saw coming. What seemed like an innocent slip during a casual red carpet interview with E! News quickly turned explosive. Without skipping a beat, Blake casually revealed that the now infamous rooftop scene, the same scene she had presented as her brilliant creative vision, was actually written by none other than her husband, Ryan Reynolds.
So thrilling in our house right now. We help each other, we work together so much. The iconic rooftop scene in this movie, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that.
Yep, she said that on live TV. Do you realize how confident you have to be to drop a bomb like that? Blake didn't just let slip a trivial secret, she exposed a carefully concealed truth that shattered the narrative she had been selling to the world, and more importantly, to Baldoni himself.
But he wrote it, he works on everything I do, I work on everything he does, so his wins, his celebrations are mine, and mine are his. I mean, he's all over this film.
It's no surprise that Reynolds was deeply invested in this movie, even though he wasn't contractually obligated to it. When his wife says jump, he says, how high? And vice versa. At first, fans didn't think much of Blake's casual interview when it aired 7 months ago. But after everything that's gone down since, the outrage has been nothing short of insane. Thousands of fans and critics who had passionately followed every update about the film felt utterly betrayed. And it's not just because Blake had been lying through her teeth, it's because they now feel sorry for Baldoni. The biggest lingering question was, why had Blake presented the rooftop scene as her personal creative triumph when, all along, she was simply the mouthpiece for Ryan's ideas? As you'd expect, the backlash was swift and brutal, flooding Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok with accusations of manipulation, deceit, and betrayal. Blake really had us fooled, one viral tweet read, racking up thousands of likes within hours. Another fan wrote, Ryan ghostwriting Blake's scenes without Baldoni knowing feels shady as hell. This was never about creative collaboration, it was sabotage. But where did Reynolds really mess up? Out of nowhere, rumors began circulating about his involvement in Baldoni getting dropped from his agency, WME. And eventually, it turned out those rumors were true. Reynolds was right there at the center of getting the young director laid off from the biggest agency in Hollywood.